If you are over 50, chances are cancer has crossed your mind more than once. Maybe a friend got diagnosed, maybe a family member. And at some point you start wondering, is there anything I can actually do about this? The answer is yes. Research has found 5 daily habits that can genuinely lower your risk. We are counting down from 5 to 1. Let us get into it. Number 5. Sleep. Most of us think sleep is just the body resting. But while you are sleeping, your body is doing something much more important than resting. It is running a full repair cycle. Your brain is flushing out waste and damaged cells. Your immune system is actively hunting down abnormal cells before they can develop into anything serious. And your body is producing a hormone that researchers have found blocks tumors from growing and activates the immune cells, whose job is specifically to destroy cancer cells. You have probably noticed that when you sleep badly, you feel off the next day. Your thinking is slower, your energy is lower, your mood is worse. That is not just tiredness. That is your body telling you it did not get to finish its repair work. And when that happens night after night, the effects go much deeper than just feeling tired. The problem is that as we get older, our bodies produce less and less of that hormone. By the time most people are in their 60s and 70s, they are making a fraction of what they made when they were younger. And on top of that, a lot of seniors are sleeping fewer hours than they need. A study from the University of California found that adults over 60 who slept 7 to 8.5 hours consistently had cancer death rates up to 48% lower than those sleeping under 6 hours. And it is not just about how many hours you sleep, it is about the quality. 8 hours of broken sleep is not the same as 7 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep. The cancer-fighting work your body does mostly happens in the deepest phases of sleep. Every time you wake up in the middle of the night, even briefly, you are cutting into that. A woman we heard about had been sleeping around 5 hours a night for years and felt fine. She thought that was just how she was wired now. When she got her immune levels checked, her cancer-fighting cells were very low. She made a few changes, same bedtime every night, darker room, cooler temperature, no phone before bed. 6 weeks later, her immune levels had gone up by nearly 50%. So here is what to do. Pick a bedtime and stick to it every single night, including weekends. Your body runs on a consistent schedule, and it does not adapt well when you change it. Make your room as dark as you can, because even a small amount of light at night can interfere with that hormone your body is trying to produce. Keep it cool, somewhere between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And try not to eat within 3 hours of going to bed, because digestion competes with the repair work your body needs to focus on overnight. If you have been struggling with sleep for a long time, start with just one of those changes rather than trying all of them at once. A lot of people find the room temperature change makes the biggest difference fastest. Others find the consistent bedtime is what unlocks everything else. Pick one, stick with it for 2 weeks, then add the next one. One more thing that helps here: getting outside in natural morning light within the first hour of waking up. It sounds unrelated to sleep, but morning sunlight actually sets your internal body clock for the whole day, and it directly increases how much of that cancer-fighting hormone your body produces later that night. So, your morning and your night are more connected than most people realize. Number 4. Morning hydration. This one is going to sound almost too simple, but stay with us because the reason behind it is something most people have never thought about. After around age 55, your brain actually gets worse at telling you when you are thirsty. Research has found that adults over 60 are regularly going through their days without drinking enough water, and they never feel thirsty enough to notice. That means a lot of seniors are chronically low on water without realizing it. Why does that matter for cancer? Your body has a waste collection system that moves through your tissues, picking up damaged cells, debris, and things that need to be cleared out. That system depends almost entirely on water to function. When you are not drinking enough, it slows down. Damaged cells sit in your body longer than they should. Inflammation builds. And researchers have consistently pointed to that kind of long-term inflammation as one of the main drivers of cancer, especially in the colon, bladder, and kidneys. Your cells also have their own internal cleaning process where they break down their damaged parts before those parts can cause problems. Think of it like a self-repair system running inside each cell. After 65, that process loses about 30% of its efficiency. Staying properly hydrated is one of the things that helps keep it going. The Harvard Nurses' Health Study found that women who drank more than 5 glasses of water a day had a 45% lower risk of colon cancer compared to those who drank 2 or fewer. A man in his late 60s told us he had never been a big water drinker his whole life. Coffee in the morning, maybe something with dinner. His doctor had been flagging elevated inflammation for years. He started drinking a full glass of water first thing every morning, before anything else. A few months later, his numbers had improved, and he said his energy was noticeably better too. The simplest way to do this is to put a large glass of water on your nightstand before you go to sleep. The moment your feet hit the floor in the morning, drink it before coffee, before food, before your phone. Your body has gone 8 hours without water overnight, and it needs it right away. If you like, squeeze some fresh lemon in, because research has found that compounds in lemon have their own protective effects on cell health. And if you follow your morning water with even 10 minutes of light movement, just walking around the house or doing some gentle stretching, that gets the waste collection system flowing and makes the whole thing work even better. The water gives the system what it needs to run, and the movement gets it actually moving. Together, they do more than either one does on its own. Number 3, walking. Walking is probably the most underestimated thing a senior can do for their health, and we are not talking about intense exercise, just walking. But there is a specific way to do it that research has shown makes a real difference for cancer prevention. Cancer cells are different from healthy cells in how they get their energy. They depend almost entirely on sugar in the blood to survive. They are actually quite poor at using oxygen. So, when you walk at a pace that gets your heart rate up but still lets you hold a conversation, 2 things happen at once. Your body burns through the sugar in your bloodstream, which takes away what cancer cells need to survive. And your blood becomes more oxygen-rich, which creates an environment where cancer cells struggle. A study that looked at data from over 1 million adults found that regular, moderate activity like this was linked to a 42% lower risk of colon cancer, a 38% lower risk of breast cancer, and a 27% lower risk of lung cancer, even in people who never smoked. That is a significant reduction for something that costs nothing and requires no equipment. There is also something specific that happens after 60 that makes walking even more important. The tiny energy generators inside your cells start declining in both number and efficiency as we age, by around 35% by the time most people are in their mid-60s. That decline is connected to both aging and cancer development. Walking at a moderate pace is one of the very few things proven to actually signal your body to make new ones. It basically tells your cells to renew themselves, which is exactly what you want happening as you get older. Beyond that, regular walking has been shown to lower the kind of persistent low-level inflammation that researchers keep pointing to as one of the main conditions that allows cancer to develop. Every walk you take is doing something useful for your body at a cellular level, not just burning calories. A retired teacher in his early 70s had a precancerous polyp removed, and his doctor told him he needed to change his lifestyle. He started walking 35 minutes every morning, 5 days a week. At his 2-year checkup, everything was clear. His inflammatory markers had dropped significantly, and his doctor called it remarkable. He told his family that the walk had become the thing he looked forward to most each morning. 30 to 45 minutes at a conversational pace, at least 5 days a week. That is it. Try to do it in the morning before eating if you can, because walking on an empty stomach increases the sugar-burning effect. And if you can walk somewhere with natural morning light, even better, because that morning sun reinforces the sleep benefits we talked about earlier, and the 2 habits start working together. Number 2, fermented foods. Most people know fermented foods are good for digestion, but the reason they matter for cancer prevention goes much deeper than that, and most people have never heard this explained. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, and these bacteria do not just help with digestion, they regulate your immune system. They control inflammation levels throughout your entire body, and they play a direct role in whether precancerous cells get stopped or allowed to develop further. As we get older, the lining of the gut becomes more porous. Things that are supposed to stay inside the gut start getting through into the bloodstream. When that happens, your immune system stays in a constant low-level state of alert, dealing with those intruders. That ongoing inflammation is exactly the kind of environment where cancer can get a foothold. And research has shown this becomes more common after 60. A Stanford University study from 2021 found that people who regularly ate fermented foods had a measurable drop in 19 specific proteins that are directly tied to inflammation and cancer progression. The results were consistent across the people in the study. Here is the specific thing that happens. When good bacteria in your gut break down fiber, they produce a compound that actually signals precancerous cells in the colon to destroy themselves before they can progress. Your gut bacteria are essentially running a quiet security operation every single day. The more of the right bacteria you have, the better that security system works. And people with a wider variety of good gut bacteria have been found to have stronger immune responses and lower rates of several types of cancer. A woman in her late 60s with a family history of colorectal cancer had consistently high inflammation levels, even though she ate reasonably well. She had no fermented foods in her diet at all. She added a small yogurt in the morning and a bit of sauerkraut at lunch every day. Within 3 months, her inflammation had dropped by nearly 40%. She said the change was so simple, she wished she had known about it years earlier. 1 to 2 servings a day of naturally fermented food is what you are aiming for. Plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, or miso all work. The important thing is that it is naturally fermented and not pasteurized, because the heating process in pasteurization kills the live bacteria you actually need. Look for labels that say live and active cultures. Start with a small amount if your stomach is not used to it and build up from there. Some people notice a difference in how they feel within just a few weeks. And pairing your fermented food with garlic, leeks, or a slightly underripe banana helps even more, because those foods feed the good bacteria you are introducing and make the whole thing work better. Number 1, cruciferous vegetables. This is the one that catches people off guard. Not because broccoli and Brussels sprouts are unknown, but because what they actually do inside the body after 50 is something most people have never heard. Your body has a system for repairing damaged DNA. Think of it as an editing team that goes through your genetic code constantly, finding errors and fixing them before they can become permanent mutations. After 50, that system starts losing efficiency. By the time most people are in their 60s and 70s, it is working at significantly lower capacity than it was before. Errors that would have been caught and corrected years ago are now slipping through. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, and especially broccoli sprouts, contain a compound that essentially wakes that repair system back up. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found it activates over 200 protective genes at once, genes involved in repairing damaged DNA, neutralizing harmful substances, and clearing out cells that are starting to go wrong. A study from the University of Illinois found that regularly eating these vegetables was linked to a 52% lower risk of bladder cancer and a 41% lower risk of prostate cancer. What makes this even more significant is that this compound specifically goes after what researchers call cancer stem cells. These are the stubborn cells that are responsible for cancer coming back after treatment. Most conventional treatments have a hard time with these cells. This compound targets them directly. Researchers at a major cancer center found this to be one of the most promising areas of study in cancer prevention, specifically for adults over 50, because it addresses something that other approaches miss entirely. A man in his mid-60s had been eating cooked broccoli for years, thinking he was getting all the benefits. When he found out about the right way to prepare it, he switched his approach and added broccoli sprouts to his daily routine. His doctor noted meaningful improvements in his health markers at his next visit. He said it was the simplest change he had ever made. Here is the preparation detail that most people miss. The cancer-fighting compound in these vegetables does not actually exist in active form until you cut or chew them. Chopping or crushing them starts a chemical reaction that produces it, but cooking above a certain temperature shuts that reaction down. So, if you just throw broccoli straight into boiling water, you lose most of what makes it so powerful. Chop or lightly crush your broccoli first and let it sit for about 40 minutes before cooking. Then steam it for no more than 3 to 4 minutes. That way the reaction finishes before the heat stops it. Raw broccoli sprouts need no cooking at all and deliver far more of this compound than regular broccoli does. Half a cup of raw broccoli sprouts a day or a full cup of properly prepared broccoli is what you are aiming for. Adding a small amount of raw mustard seed powder or raw radish to your cooked broccoli helps too. Both contain the enzyme that drives the reaction, so they essentially restore what the cooking removed and can multiply the benefit by up to 4 times, according to research from the Institute of Food Research. Sleep, water, walking, fermented foods, and cruciferous vegetables. The research on these 5 is solid, and they work even better in combination because each one supports the others. Better sleep strengthens your immune system. More water keeps your cellular repair system running. Walking lowers blood sugar and inflammation. Fermented foods build the gut bacteria that regulate your immune response. And cruciferous vegetables activate the DNA repair system that ties it all together. You do not have to start all 5 at once. Pick the one that feels most doable right now and build from there. Researchers have found that the body responds to these kinds of changes even well into your 70s and 80s. It is never too late. And the fact that you are here watching this and looking for ways to take better care of yourself already puts you ahead of most people. Share this with someone you care about. A spouse, a sibling, a friend who has been worried about their health. And leave a comment telling us which of these 5 you are starting first and how old you are. We read every single comment, and this community is built around people just like you. Take care of yourselves.